So here we are with another series of kits and cruising, and for this series we've decided to go the whole hog with our own special project builds. So in here, believe it or not, getting his hands dirty for the first time is our producer Neil, probably having a nervous breakdown with his very first kit build. Let's see how he's doing. So then this is it. Neil, this is your car.
Yes.
And it doesn't look much like a car yet.
No, this is the actual chassis to the oily bits go onto. We've actually been stripping down the donor for a couple of days. So that's where we're at.
So not the most fun bit so far.
No, like the worst bits out the way now, because yeah, this and all the mechanical bits that will actually bolt onto here. But this is the bit I've been hating, never wanted to do. We've got that out the way now.
Okay, so when you've done all of it, when it's finished, what's it going to look like? What are you building?
Well, let's spool back in a televisual way to the beginning and see what we started with. Okay, this series, the talking stops. We've actually gone out and done it. We've got ourselves a kit. Behind me in the van is a Jester from Harlequin Auto Kits we picked up yesterday, and we've brought it down to the premises of Formby Kit Cars, who are actually going to help me with the build. So fingers crossed, being my first build, I need all the help I can get, really. So let's take a quick look at what we've got. First, we have a one-piece body shell, which removes the need to mess around with doors. In fact, the only aperture we need to worry about is for the bonnet, which is the next out. Then we have the chassis, onto which all the oily bits and the wiring are going to bolt, and the body shell goes over the top. And then we have a roll bar and windscreen surround. Now normally the windscreen comes bonded in, but you'll see later in the series why that isn't the case on this one. And finally we have the inner tub, which basically is your boot space.
So what's it actually based on then?
Well, we actually started out with this old 1.1 Ford Fiesta Mark 1, which we've just dismantled. It's now a shell of nothing at all, really.
Now, when we say dismantled, we are telling you it's like torn to bits, basically.
Well, yeah, we started off at the inside and took out all the wiry bits and all the dashboard, and then we actually got to the oily bits.
So you actually got dirty here?
Yes, we got dirty.
First thing we have to do is get things like the dashboard out the way so we can get to the wires, and it's jobs like this that just eat away at the time. As on the inside, you have to get clearance on the outside, so things like the bonnet have to come off. And of course, sometimes the spanner just isn't the right tool for the job. But it does come away, even if I do frighten myself doing it, out the way so we can get to the next bit, which is the radiator. Again, all these bits take time to get off, adding time to the build, but they've all got to be taken away, logged and prepared for going onto the kit. So now we check the workshop manual to know how to get the next bit off, which is the suspension turret. Now if I'd bothered to read it properly, I'd remembered to catch it before it drops out, like that. So with all the ancillaries and all the fiddly bits out the way, we can now remove the engine, the gearbox from its mounts, checking for clearance, and hoist them away. And that frees us up so that we can lift the body clear of the engine and gearbox and just wheel it away. Now the rear suspension's been left on, and you'll see why in a moment. Because we can just wheel the whole thing away, leaving the engine and gearbox complete. And then we can just take it all straight in, engine, gearbox, gear change and front axles, right in, ready to go into the Jester.
So presumably then, all of this is covered in the build manual?
Well, that's pretty good, yeah. It explains the order you want to strip things off the donor car, and then you go to a proper workshop manual for the details how to strip things off, which is good, really, because I know absolutely nothing about that sound.
It helps. Look, I've got my overalls.
Yeah.
So I'm here.
You're actually planning to get dirty then?
Yep, well, I thought I'd show willing and join in.
OK, then. Well, we've got some stuff to paint up, because we're nearly ready to start bolting things onto here.
All right, well, I'll get changed.
OK.
I don't want to alarm anyone, you know.
Yeah.
Get
Excite any.
Well,
yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Penn and I went down to Dorset to visit the Rodfather.
Earlier on in the year, then, Uncle Penn went to Dorset to meet
the Rodfather.
The Rodfather.
The Rodfather.
That's right.
That was a close one, that.
Very. Could have been.
Remember
a
that time you took the shirt off? That was terrible.
Terrible business.
Oh, God.
It's not often they let me get involved with the cruising side of Kits and Cruisin, but I'm here today with 4 very, very special cars and their owners. Now, the first of these 4 wonderful cars is a 1936 Model A pickup, and it belongs to Glenn Richards. Hi, Glenn. Tell me a bit about the car, mate.
Well, basically, as I say, it's a Model A pickup, and mostly it's fiberglass with the wings and the running boards. Right. The cab is glass with a steel pickup bed. It's based on a 2-litre Ford Cortina, and this model features the suicide rear doors.
Right.
The opposite way. It's automatic box, windows.
So only 2 litre?
It's only 2 litre, yeah. I
Right.
use it every day.
Do you use it every day?
Not at the moment. I've only just got it on the road. I've only got about 50 miles, so
Oh, right.
it's not really
So it's
running.
pretty new.
Yeah.
You do your own spraying?
I sprayed it all myself.
It's really nice.
Had the trimming done. Barry, my friend, does all the oily bits.
Sure.
He
Yeah.
likes to do that bit, and I'm happy with the finishing and the wiring. And
Yeah, great. Right then, the next one, 1937 Ford Club Coupe, belongs to Yvette and Michael Donald. Hi Yvette, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Good. Right, beautiful car. Right, tell me a bit about it.
We've had it for 15 years. It was built in Melbourne, in Australia. And when we moved to England, we brought it with us.
Right, okay. Beautiful thing. Now, what about suspension and engines?
It's got a 7-litre Ford V8 engine in it. It's got a Jaguar rear end and a Holden front end, which is the equivalent of a Vauxhall.
Right, that's an Australian thing.
Yeah, it's an Australian.
Okay. Bit thirsty on petrol, huh?
About 10 miles to the gallon.
Oh, righto. Use it a lot?
We use it lots and lots.
Right, plenty of room in
Don't
there.
believe in parking them in the garage.
Oh, fair enough. Right, so the kids love it?
The kids adore it. We take them to school in it, and they quite like it when you cruise past the front classrooms as you pick them up.
What about, you've got another car, haven't you, actually? You've got 2.
I've got a 1932 Model B Roadster.
Called?
Polly.
This one's called?
Gertrude.
Now tell me, big custom car scene in Australia?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, lots and lots of custom cars like this with big V8 engines in them, and they like to put them down drag strips.
Oh, right. So do you go to a lot of shows in the UK?
We go to as many as we can, and it's a nice, going to shows is a nice family thing, and we like doing that.
Brilliant. Well, look forward to seeing a few this year.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Thank
Great.
you.
See you, love. Something I definitely recognise. That is a 1955 Ford Popular. And you're Dave Thickens. Dave, how are you doing? Tell me something about the car. It's spectacular paint-wise.
Yes, it's a 1955 Ford Pop. It has a 2-litre Sierra engine, 5-speed gearbox.
Well, pretty practical.
The front suspension's all homemade. Usually based on Cortina geometry.
Yep.
Back axle's a little bit unusual. It's a Mitsubishi Sapporo. Because it was independent and it was cheap and it was the right width.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The paint job is candy paint. It was a bit of an experiment.
You do it?
How many? Yes, all done myself. All the welding, all the bodywork.
Blimey.
Everything.
Brilliant. Where'd you get your front headlights from?
I found them in an auto jumble.
Yeah?
I've no idea what they're from.
They're great.
They came off a motorbike stall and they work.
And they work. How much use do you give it?
Every day. I work treble shift and I use it every day for work.
Really?
Hence the 2-litre engine to keep the fuel bills a little bit sensible. And of course tax-free motoring.
And of course tax-free motoring, yes, 1955. Brilliant.
Practical and quiet.
Has it got the original chassis?
No, the chassis is homemade.
The chassis is homemade as well? Because the chassis on them was quite good in the first place, if I remember rightly.
Yes, this one came without a chassis. It was just a bare shell.
It's all metal? It's all metal?
Yes.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
All hand fabricated.
That's a great looking car, Dave. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers for now. Oh, the next one, and to be honest, the one that really caught our eye, is this car belonging to Carol Daniels, 1915 or whatever?
1912.
1912 Ford Model T C-Cab.
That's the one.
All right. Yeah. Very eye-catching little number.
Thank you.
Now then, tell me a bit about it.
Well, basically my husband built it. Took him about 5 years in all to
Yeah.
actually build it, due to funds basically, as and when we got the bits. The body itself is fiberglass, the wings and the running boards steel, and obviously the brass headlights, indicators and the like.
Right. So engine-wise, what have we got?
The V6 Wessex engine, Essex auto gearbox.
Now obviously one of the features of the car is all this wonderful brasswork. Now who did that for you?
It was actually made for us by Ray Christopher when he was actually into rod building himself.
Right.
And he had a bet on with us that we had to get it to a certain car show, or we'd have all the brass back.
Oh right, oh that seems fair. So you made it? Huh?
We made it
happened,
yeah.
Right, oh, that's absolutely incredible. Does it get used a lot?
He likes to use it for like every day of the week, if he possibly can.
Right.
I mean, bad weather doesn't normally turn him off.
Right.
If he's in the mood to drive it, he will. But obviously it's far more pleasure when it's beaming sunshine.
Absolutely, absolutely right. All you people have one thing in common. You're all in the Wessex Rod and Custom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And many members?
I think there's about 45 to 50 members now. That's including the husband's wives.
Right.
Boyfriends.
And you have a big meeting once a year, or lots of meetings?
Once a month we have a club meeting, and once a year we actually host our own car show down in the south. And that's at Bovington Tank Museum.
Oh yes indeed, yes, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And of course you also have something else in common as well, and you mentioned his name just a little while ago, and that's Ray Christopher.
Yeah, absolutely so, yeah.
Right.
He was the one that originally started all these cars.
Right.
And I think it was one of his nephews, in actual fact, that fired our enthusiasm for it.
Brilliant. He's got a lot to answer for.
Absolutely so, yeah.
So I'm going to make him answer for it. This is Ray Christopher. Hiya, Ray.
Nice to see you.
All right, mate. Now, you practically started this in the UK, didn't you?
Yeah, back in the late 50s, about 57 I think it actually started. It was the earliest date that I can remember.
Yeah, yeah. You were called the Rod Father, weren't you?
God knows well. I think I must have been the oldest person doing it at the time. The sort of history of it started in America in the 40s. The kids obviously wanted something sort of quick and fast and different. And in the 50s it came over here with a program called 77 Sunset Strip. I think any older viewer will remember that sort of show.
From Zimbalist Jr.
Oh, that's the one, you got it, and he had the cookie coach.
Oh yeah,
and
of course.
it all went from there, and the enthusiasts on this side of the world I thought, well, if the Yanks can do it, we can do it as well.
Right.
And that's really where it all started from, and it's grown into a multi-big business from there, you know.
Right. I mean, it's a strange thing. We were only talking about this the other day, trying to decide what are custom cars, what are cruisers, what are street rods. Is there an exact definition of what is a hot rod?
A hot rod is usually something that goes extremely quick. It's a car that's had a good beefed up engine. It goes like hell. A custom is usually the vehicle where dad's abandoned the car, it's got a bit too old, gone on to another vehicle, a better vehicle, let's say, and the kids have taken it over and they paint it, they trim it, they do an awful lot of work on it, vast amounts of work. Usually the work you see from the outside, these pretty cars that you actually see on film, you know, the amount of work that's gone into them is phenomenal.
Unbelievable, yeah. So I've seen some of it today, you know. Yeah. But I mean, there's all sorts of seems to be other divisions like street machines and cruisers and things.
Well,
I mean,
that again came out of the States. Street machines around about the 70s. All the kids wanted big Camaros and something that sort of went quick. They went off drag racing, so they could then go racing. They could take their street car and go racing with it. And that's happened a little over here, but not a lot, not as much as it did in the States.
Brilliant. All right.
But the cruise is the beer up, isn't it? This is to go out for if you want a weekend, have a good party. sober up for the next day, and then go cruising.
Right.
That really is it. And go and show all the work you've done for maybe the last year, 2 years, and show it to people. That's really what it's about.
That sounds, it sounds good. Right, so in actual fact, I mean, you were in hot rods for many years. I call them hot rods. Well, you are nearly as old as I am. But you moved on a little bit from that, didn't you?
Well, yeah, we went. I've always wanted to race. Back in the 50s, everybody wants to go racing, so I wanted to race. So I wanted to produce other vehicles and come on from there with new vehicles, and that's where we went from there. The most famous car is the '66 Ford GT40, and I figured that's the car that we had to replicate to go racing.
Fair comment. And we'll be taking a lot longer look at the GTD40 next week.
You put something down for 2 minutes. No. There it is. Welcome to new team member Beverley French on her first mission to check out an MR2 alternative. Oh, God.
Toyota's MR2 has had it far too easy. Think about it for a moment. Can you think of another mid-engine car with a 2-litre engine? And no, the Esprit GT3 is far too expensive. Well, the kit market has a new challenger, the A&M EX2. Catchy name, eh? We persuaded the company to lend us the prototype EX2. There is a new demonstrator in production spec that should be ready by the time you see this, but we couldn't wait to take an early peek. Under here is Vauxhall's 2-litre 16-valve unit, fitted with twin carburettors. Now this liberates 170 brake horsepower, so it should be quite quick then. Most owners would also leave the fuel injection in place. Ooh. I'm not sure how you're supposed to get in this car like a lady, but that was my attempt. Such attention to comfort factors point to the high standards that A&M are hoping to achieve, but size, looks and interior space aren't going to be enough to win over those MR2 buyers from Toyota. So, brings us to the all-important question, what's it like to drive? Well, first impressions. The pedals are really far too close to the driver, but A&M assure us they're going to correct that in the production car. Also, the gearbox, the gears are really close together and it's quite awkward to get used to at first, but once you are used to it, it turns into a rather nifty little drive. It sounds really throaty with those twin carburettors and the acceleration is amazing. The EX2 starts with the backbone space frame combination chassis, incorporating a sill-level perimeter frame with steel cross members for mounting the seats. The body is a semi-monocoque with steel tube reinforcement around the screen and across the scuttle. This bonded-in frame bolts down to the chassis to make a very solid structure. When you consider that GRP is 70% stiffer per kilo than steel, and that your tin box at home is made from folded sheet steel of up to 2 mm thick, I know which one I'd rather face an accident in. Oh, and the EX2 still only weighs 850 kilos. How heavy is your Volvo? And if that isn't enough, rust isn't even a problem, because cars made out of these materials generally last at least 20 years. Now, 10 years ago, this car would have been top of the kit car class, but the production car A&M are currently working on is so much better, we thought it deserved a second look.
More and more manufacturers are holding annual open days, inviting customers to bring along their finished cars. More importantly, they allow potential buyers to look around the company workshops and check out those built cars. Quantum and GTM were amongst the first to actively promote these days, but an invitation landed through our door which we couldn't refuse. Neil Foreman, showman extraordinaire, is having a bit of a do. As you'd expect at such an event, the cars gathering outside were unusual to say the very least, from unique three-wheelers to a fetching yellow Pilgrim Sumo and even 3 customer P4s under construction, as well as Eddie Perks's finished P4. Amongst the early leavers eager to hit the road once more was a unique Aston V8 powered special, as well as this Pilgrim. The day provided a unique opportunity to see some very special P4s, including these that reflect the owner's individual tastes. It was fascinating to see this Ferrari V12, taken from a 400i but now lurking in a Foreman P4 engine bay. Many commented that the intricate exhaust work really is a work of art in itself. One particular P4 boasts a Lamborghini V12. The owner wants a very close replica of an original P4 racer, so the attention to detail is incredible. Amongst the exotica that turned up was this De Tomaso Pantera, which was simply gorgeous and just part of a wonderful variety of machinery that turned up throughout the day. Remove the luggage tray from the Pantera and a delicious Ford V8 greets your eye. Kit builders love to sit around and exchange stories and tips, but how can you top building a one-off three-wheeler from scratch? A more familiar three-wheeler is this wonderful Grinnell Scorpion. We thought this one, if anything, perhaps a tad reserved. The owner also has a Foreman P4. And to help the day go with a swing, the drummer from Neil Foreman's old band was brought in to do a one-man show. And towards the end of the day, even Neil himself was persuaded to take to the stage. Remember, please let us know of any open days or club meets, and we'd be most happy to bring our cameras along for a look-see. Keep watching, because this series is packed with exclusives. How about the first TV appearance for the Phantom GTR? Our jester is joined by my very own Tiger Cat E1. Talking of glamour, we take a closer look into Steve Pateman's Calibra, and we enticed YKC to bring their beautiful Mil Miglia to North Wales, where it attracted plenty of attention. And there's more to come. The Burnham Boys make a welcome return next week at Billing, if we ever get to find the place.